Wait, you're the general's daughter? The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Mark's heart raced as he replayed the day he'd met her, the day that changed both of their lives forever. But before we reach that moment, let's rewind, because this story isn't just about a seat on a bus. It's about courage, compassion, and the quiet strength that binds strangers together. And hey, if stories of real human kindness and second chances move you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This one will stay with you long after it ends. Mark Turner was a single dad, a retired Army medic who'd seen more pain than most men could bear. After 12 years of service and one bullet that ended his career, he'd come home to raise his 6-year-old daughter, Emma. His wife had passed from cancer while he was deployed, leaving him with a quiet house, a restless heart, and a little girl who looked too much like her mother. Every morning, Mark took the same city bus to his job at a mechanic's shop, calloused hands, oil-stained overalls, and a worn cap that still bore the Army insignia. It was routine. Safe. Predictable. Until she stepped on that bus one gray Tuesday morning. She was young, early 20s maybe, in a crisp uniform, her shoulders back, her face tired but proud. You could tell she'd been through something. Her eyes darted around for an empty seat, but the bus was full. She moved toward the back, clutching her duffel bag. Then it started out. A couple of rowdy guys, maybe in their 30s, snickered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Look at that, a soldier, huh? What are you, a clerk or something? Can't handle the real stuff?" One of them sneered. The girl stiffened but said nothing. She kept her eyes forward, pretending not to hear. Mark saw it. He'd seen that look before, the quiet swallow of humiliation, the discipline it took to stand tall when your heart was sinking. He'd been that soldier once. The bus jerked forward, and one of the men stuck his foot out just as she tried to pass. Her bag fell, spilling her things across the floor, her notebook, a photo, and a folded American flag. The laughter that followed hit Mark like shrapnel. He stood up. "Hey," he said, his voice low but sharp. "You pick that up. Now." The laughter stopped. The men glanced up, taking in his scarred forearm, the way he stood, not like a man looking for trouble, but one who knew how to end it. The guy hesitated, then muttered something and bent down to pick up the flag. Mark knelt too, carefully folding it back, handing it to her like it was sacred. "Here, soldier," he said softly. "No one disrespects this. Not while I'm around." Her eyes met his, a mix of gratitude and exhaustion. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. Mark smiled faintly. "Name's Mark. And don't sir me, I work at Joe's Auto." The bus rolled on. The men got off 2 stops later, muttering curses. Mark sat beside her, and for the first time in a long time, he felt that old sense of purpose stir again. Over the next few weeks, they kept crossing paths. Her name was Hannah. She just finished a long deployment overseas, trying to find her footing again back home. But it wasn't easy. Her father, she said, was military brass, the kind of man who didn't understand struggle. She didn't want to rely on his name. She wanted to earn her way. Mark admired that. They talked on the bus about life after service, about loss, about trying to raise a kid while still feeling half-broken. Emma adored her instantly. Hannah would bring her little trinkets from base, a patch here, a pin there. Slowly, the three of them formed something that felt like family. But life, as always, had its battles. One Friday night, Mark got a call. His shop was cutting hours. Bills piled up. His truck needed repairs. He tried to hide it, but Hannah noticed. "You helped me," she said quietly one day. "Let me help you." He shook his head. "I don't take charity." "It's not charity," she replied. "It's respect." That night, she showed up at his house with dinner and a plan, a veterans outreach program she'd been volunteering with, one that could help Mark find better work. Together, they attended meetings, helping other vets transition back to civilian life. Mark began fixing cars for free for those struggling to get back on their feet. For the first time since the war, he wasn't just surviving, he was living. And then came the day everything changed. They were at a veterans banquet. Hannah had insisted he come. As they entered, the crowd stood for a tall man in uniform, for stars on his shoulder, General Peterson. Hannah froze. Mark glanced at her. "You okay?" She sighed. "That's my father." Mark blinked. "Your father's General Peterson?" Before he could say more, the general strode over, his presence commanding the entire room. "Sergeant Turner," he said, extending a hand. "I've heard a lot about you. My daughter tells me you stood up for her when others didn't." Mark shook his hand, trying to process it all. The general smiled, not the cold, distant smile Mark expected, but one filled with genuine respect. "You reminded her what honor looks like. And you reminded me that rank means nothing without integrity." That night, the general announced a new initiative to support unemployed veterans, inspired by Mark and Hannah's work. The applause that followed filled the hall, but Mark's eyes were on Hannah, whose tears said more than words ever could. After the event, as they walked outside into the cool night air, Hannah looked at him and said softly, "You didn't just help me that day on the bus. You reminded me who I was." Mark smiled, glancing down at Emma, who was holding Hannah's hand. "Funny," he said, "you did the same for me. And that's the thing about kindness, you never know who you're helping, or how deeply it might ripple through their life." Mark stood up for a stranger once, and in return, he found family, purpose, and peace. So if you ever see someone being mistreated, remember, your voice might be the one that changes everything, because heroes aren't just made on battlefields, sometimes, they're made on a city bus. If that story touched your heart, take a second to like this video, subscribe for more inspiring true stories, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that compassion still wins, because sometimes, one small act of courage can change two lives forever.